Here it is. Night 2. Now, I know you were expecting, dude, you say you're going to try and do Collision. Well, unfortunately, something happened. I fell asleep. I literally had not eaten anything except for breakfast that day, because I had stuff to do. Then I saw Money in the Bank, and I had nothing to eat after the matches were over, after Money in the Bank was over, after I made my video, and after I rendered the video. The minute it was rendering and I had free time, I finally got something to eat. By the time I finished eating was about the time I did finish the render and I uploaded it. The minute I finished eating, just relaxed, I was out. I was done. I was out. There's no shame in saying it. If you don't understand what it's like for a streamer or a YouTuber, if you're doing something like this, where you stream for 4 or 5 or 6 hours, after you're done, you fall out. That's what I did. That I did. But let me make this clear, because I'm going to say all the stuff that was bad now, then I'm going to talk about the show itself. Look, Night 1 was atrocious. It was bad. You've already seen, I'm not going to zoom the camera in and out, because if anyone has a problem with motion sickness, this will get you. The only reason I did it on Night 1 was because I was incredibly angry. I was not feeling well because my allergies were killing me. Look, there's still allergy problems in New York. There's still a lot of pollen. There's still a lot of hay fever. And then we get the smoke from Canada from the forest fires. It was a lot. So I was not feeling right. I had a headache. My nose was killing me. My throat was killing me. And then I saw a show that made me feel nauseous. That was not good. So, what do we get here? We got a better show. Unlike Night 1, which had severely bad frame rate issues. I mean, there was like about 4 to 5 times the frame rate of the video. In other words, when you see a video go and start looking like it's not natural, that means there's a frame rate issue. 60 frames a second, these cameras work, or 30 frames. If there's some problem and they're not able to do the 60 or 30 or 24, that's for movies, it looks choppy, like like that. And you saw that during Night 1, and Night 2 still had it, but much less. Next, audio last night for Night 1, because this is several days later. For Night 1, it was also bad. It was bad. Here, it was still there, but it wasn't as bad. Third thing that incredibly annoyed me, and I'm thinking, this is where it gets interesting. Someone had to realize on Night 1, they fucked up. Impact Wrestling decided to go to Oceanic Pro Wrestling. Now, I've seen OPW in some special events, like pay-per-views, before they actually started doing their own stuff. Not very good. Not very good. So, when it came down to it, you see them for the first time teaming with Impact. It shows. Their audio is bad. Their lighting is bad. The camera work was atrocious. Pure fucking hubris, as they say in Picard, which I never want to ever see. I just know that trope. A pure fucking hubris. I couldn't stand the camera work. It made me sick. And I'm sure maybe 1 or 2 people didn't like it either easily. Here, Night 2, it was toned down. Someone realized they really had bad production. So they must have went to the people who ran OPW and said, look, this is not the way we run stuff. We came to you, and this is a stupid thing about Impact. Instead of bringing their own people, they're using people from other promotions' production. That was the biggest mistake they could have made. Only rarely do you have someone from a promotion that knows how they're doing it. Like in AAA, you know they do good camera work. When they ever went to AAA and to Tijuana, it always looked, it was great. Always great. It's just they never promoted Tijuana very well when they ever did it with AAA. Never did. To a certain extent they did, but not good. Canada, they always go to the same place where the camera work is trash. I'm sorry. I'm not saying that all camera work in Canada is trash, but the same places they've been going, they're using the same people, and it's trash. Here, OPW is garbage. It's a startup. They look like they're trying to make a legitimate full promotion because their first match was to crown a new world heavyweight champion. So that shows you how incredibly green they were. If they were the only company in New South Wales, Wagga Wagga, they made the biggest mistake. They should have brought their own people and worked with them. In other words, they should have brought their own camera people. They should have brought their own people for lighting. And while they work with their people with their own ring, they make sure the camera people, that is one of them, dealt with it. Because this was garbage. This is garbage. Anybody said, dude, you don't know how hard it is for logistics for Impact Wrestling, means bullshit. It means bullshit. You want to go international, you bring your own people and your own equipment. Do what AEW does. Do what WWE does. Bring your own equipment. When you decide to use equipment and people from another promotion in that country, you are susceptible to their whims as well as their flaws. Impact Wrestling has always had problems with production. I've been saying it for years. It looks like every time when they go into a different state, they use local promotions to do the work instead of having their own people. And I'm not saying that they actually aren't using their own people, but it looks like it. Here, legitimately, they did that. They announced clearly on both nights saying that to OPW, thank you for partnering with us. Thank you for letting us use your facilities. This shows how bad it was. Now, mind you, like I said, night 2 is better. Lighting was better. Camera frame rates were still an issue. Camera bouncing around was mostly gone. But clearly, they had to tell them, what the fuck you doing? Get it done right. We're doing an international show here. You want people to look at your stuff. You got to do it better than this. Let's go to that match. Bobby Eagles versus Adam Brooks. Now, both of them had matches night 1. Now, if I remember correctly, both of them lost. Bobby Eagles was in the X Division match, and he got his ass cleaned. He got beat. But then Adam Brooke went up against Slex, which went up against Eddie Edwards. I'll talk about that in a minute. So essentially, both of them lost, and now they're getting a shot at literally getting the first title of OPW. It was an alright match. I'm not saying it was great, but it was okay. In the end, I felt that maybe Bobby Eagles should have won, but it was Brooks. So he is the first official inaugural OPW champion, heavyweight champion. So the question now is, if they're going to be seen on Waka Waka TV, or wherever they're going to be seen, are they going to still have the same production value as they did night 1? Because Impact Wrestling is more seasoned when it comes to production, when they haven't been acting like it, but they're more seasoned. If they don't learn something from at least some of the people there to do it more properly, they're not going to really get much. They're going to end up like GCW. And I'm not saying GCW doesn't have any deals or anything, or OVW, or MLW for that matter. But one of the major reasons I don't do... Look, I used to do... I did a few MLW reviews. It turned me off because the production was bad. When it came to OVW, I also looked at it. Their production value for the camera, for the lighting, for the audio was just as bad as MLW. Here, they need to improve their shit, because they will never get anywhere if they don't understand. Make sure the lighting's generally okay. Make sure the audio is generally okay. It doesn't cop out every single show you have. And the camera, if you know your people are not great in capturing quick motions close up, leave it open. Let them see the fans, even if they're not much. Let them see the entire arena if you have to, so the people at home understand that you're thinking about them, not just the people in the arena, because they want to cater to the people in the arena, Some of your money is going to come from people at home or somewhere internationally. You do want them to watch your product, right? Learn to also show it correctly. I'm just saying. Next, the Digital Media Championship. We get Joe Hendley versus Moose. I'm going to tell you right now. Was this a bad match? It was okay. Camera work was okay, just like the first match. Well, the first match was so-so with the camera work. It was a little shaky, but this was okay. Lighting was okay. Audio was crappy. Very crappy when Joe Hendley was talking. Even the audio for the... it was most of the night. The audio for the host was either low for Tom or it wasn't even working. Or worse, they cut Tom off completely. So the match was okay. I'm not saying it was great, but I'm not saying it was bad. It was okay. In the end, Joe wins, not surprised. And then when you see Moose heading to the back, they cut him off. Right when, and this is the one thing I agree they did the right thing, because whoever was running production, each and every time, right when the person's just about to go up the ramp or up where the Titantron is, they literally start playing videos instead of waiting until they leave and get away from the screen, because in many cases they're still in front of it and the people at home are worse. The people at the arena can't even see because a big guy in front of it. At least this time for people at home, they cut it off and then they start playing the video packages. And that is what we got. And this time the video package we got was one of a school. And then another one looked like it was advertising for Wagga Wagga. And that's what the advertising was, at least from what I could tell. Next, we got the natural... Well, let me give it to you this. Did I care about the velocities versus the natural classics? No. The match wasn't bad, but I didn't really care because I didn't know them. The natural... What is it? The natural classics won, but didn't really care. It didn't feel like it had anything behind it. Wouldn't it have been great if they did more than just 4 championships, they did 5, and do the inaugural OPW Tag Champions, and they would be crowned? That would have made it feel more important, like the first match did, but that's what we got. Next, we get Eddie versus Sledge. And let me give it to you like this. The audio messed up pretty badly again. At one point during the match, you only hear Matthew talking because when Tom was talking, he ran up like this. His voice went from here to here with static. It was that bad. Was the match good? Yeah. The crowd was into it and it was done well, and the camera work was good enough that you could see what was going on in the ring. No problem. Good. I liked it. There was nothing wrong with it. In the end, Eddie won. I'm not surprised. Eddie's supposed to go up against Kaz. And that leads me to the next match, which wasn't a good one. And that's Killer Kelly versus Steph DeLance. You see, I'm botching DeLander's name due to the fact of how sloppy the match was. It was sloppy. Now, mind you, whether was she good when she belittled Wagga Wagga? Yeah. Did she feel substantial? She's a big woman. She looks like she could kick someone's butt. But she was sloppy. DeLander was sloppy with a Killer Kelly. And be understanding, Killer Kelly was selling for her ass. She was selling a lot for her. Guys, she sold everything almost for her. She even let her get into her crotch. Well, no, actually, Kelly got DeLander into her crotch. But DeLander basically sat her ass on her face more than once. I can understand Killer Kelly accidentally putting a crotch in her face. That happens. It happens once in a while. But more than once you put your ass in someone's face, that's a little bit more that's going to get you. DeLander won. I knew she was going to win because of how Kelly was jobbing. But it was sloppy. I'm telling you now. It was sloppy. Sloppy. Whether she's a 10-year veteran, a 2-year veteran, or a 15-year veteran, I don't care. That was sloppy. She better clean herself up. If she's still working with Impact after this, she better get it done better. She better. Because I'm not going to give a fuck about her. Next. The match that wasn't supposed to happen, but happened because of what happened in night 1, because Steve Maclin got hurt, supposedly. We got Brian Myers versus Kaz. Kaz was supposed to face Brian Myers. This was the second best match of the night. For me personally, it was the second best match, single match of the night. It was good. I didn't expect these two to have good chemistry. And they did have good chemistry. The fans were invested. The camera work was so at certain points. Like in the middle to the beginning, it was a little messed up a little bit because they kept switching back and forth a little too frequently. And worse yet, while they switched from side cams to the hard cam, they didn't capture the people's faces. A lot of times, I think they realized that the cameramen were not doing well. So they had no choice but to switch to them so quickly that a lot of times you didn't even catch what was going on in the headlocks or when they were face down in the ring, because that's what the side cams are meant for. The handy cams. That's what they were meant for you to capture them at the right moment. But if the cameraman can't even get it done correctly, you're going to use the hard cam, which they did, which I understand if that was the main issue. In the end, Kaz won. It wasn't a surprise because he is going up against Eddie on Thursday. Now, this was a historic type of match. The Impact Wrestling Tag Titles. ABC versus the Guns. Motor City Machine Guns going against let me give it to you like this. What's getting me? The last time a situation like this where the X Division and World Champion teamed up to go up against the Tag Champs. In this situation, 2007. I'm kind of surprised. I thought that happened before. Sometime. No. The Tag Champs have not gone up against, what did they say? 3D went up against Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe. Kurt was the world champion of TNA, and the X Division champion was Samoa Joe. And they went up against 3D. So that was the last time it's ever been accomplished. So this was interesting. I know all four of these guys can work well, which they did. In the end, ABC won, which I was not surprised. There was no way they're going to let Chris and Alex have both sets of titles. There was no way. There was no way. But at the end, you would expect them to just go off. But in this situation, which is becoming more common, that it was Bay that basically spoke to Shelley. And I think he was saying, we're like this. This was the greatest match we ever had. We're like this because of both of y'all. We're like this because of both of you. And Austin did agree. And they shook each other's hands and they hugged. But it kind of felt like a passing of the torch, in a sense. Not saying it is, but it did kind of feel like that. Because, let's be honest, Motor City Machine Guns separately had been there since the opening of the company when it's TNA. They became a tag team around, 2006, 2007? Because that's where it shows Motor City Machine Guns theme song and their picture. So they've been around a long time. To know that they motivated two people like Ace Austin and Chris Bay to get them to where they are now, that means something. I actually like that. So that's what that is. Final. The best match of the night, shockingly. Gazelle Shaw versus Deonna Purrazzo. Now, just like Kaz, she did have a moment to talk. And I'll tell you this. She talked well, but I didn't expect her to job too easily. I did expect her to eventually job and lose to Deonna Purrazzo. There's no way Deonna's going to job in a Wagga Wagga, I believe that's where it is. She just wasn't going to job there. I'm not saying that she couldn't, but she just wasn't. There was no way. And this is what I was expecting. This was the best match I've seen from both of them. Let me give it to you like this. You know, if you don't know, Gazelle Shaw is in a relationship with Scott D'Amore. That's his woman. And I know you're going to say, don't think it. Scott D'Amore is with a woman. Let's just see it that way. If you saw her coming out, she was wearing a black and red jersey. It said Canada. My guess is that's a little tribute to her man. Of the man that's going to be having his match with PCO, Bully Ray, and the question is, will Steve Maclin be able to wrestle? Because he's injured supposedly. That's going to be a question. If he's going to be able to wrestle, I don't know. But essentially, she came out in a jersey that kind of made me think of Scott D'Amore. So, when the match started, it was a dead even match that was almost entirely chain wrestling and strategy with holds. That's what that match was. There wasn't no heavy strikes all the time. In the beginning to the middle, it was all grapple wrestling. And I liked seeing that they were trying to show that Giselle Shaw was highly versatile. And she did well. If you don't think Giselle Shaw can wrestle, the girl can wrestle. Whether you like her or not. Whether you think the quintessential diva is a great gimmick or not. I still think she could have became the Black Widow. She didn't need anybody. She could have wore all black. She could have had a better persona. But she didn't want to go there. This was the best match I've seen between the two. And they've had some decent matches. But I think this was the best match Giselle Shaw has ever done. I think she went to Con Am with her man and said, I'm going to Wanawaga. I want to be good. Help me get some more work in. I want to look good and make Deonna look great. And she did. The focus for Deonna was her left arm because Giselle worked on trying to disable her by messing with her arm or messing with her leg. Eventually, she finally did get a chance to mess with her arm and did mostly disarm her. But also, Giselle Shaw had been hurt a couple of times by Deonna as well, who kind of took it a little not that serious until she got her arm jacked. And that's when she became serious. She decided when it was all done, she eventually used a Cinco de Mayo with only one arm. I believe it was Cinco de Mayo. With one arm holding both Giselle's arms in a lock. Just with one arm. And she basically quits. I will say this is one of the best matches I've seen. It looked better than WWE flat out. AEW, this match looked better than AEW's matches. And I know not everyone will agree with me, but I can tell you in the last 6 months, this is one of the best matches I've seen. And understand, Impact has had some damn good matches when it came with either Giselle Shaw or Deonna Purrazzo separately. Both of them have done really good matches. They have. But now, this is one of the best I've seen in 6 months. The best. I'm not going to say it's the best one of the year, but it's the best I've seen in 6 months. This is what you get for night 2. I don't think I'm putting any images in. I'm just going to upload this straight. I hope you enjoy it. Peace.